Dan, thanks for taking the time this afternoon. Let's start with our first team. 17 points after 8 games. Was that your expectation at the start of the season?
No. I mean, it's not my expectation any season. I would have been over the moon, as you know. We always set a target, if we can, of 15 points after 10 games, which we've never achieved, I don't think, since we've been in the National League. So this is way beyond what we could have expected, based on the players we've lost, losing Cabs just before the season started, and the size of the squad we've got. So no, really, really happy, so I think everyone within the town, the squad, and the club, should be well pleased.
And despite the promising start, I'm sure you're still looking to add to the squad.
We've never stopped. We've never stopped looking. We made certain offers to certain players and we couldn't get it over the line for all manner of reasons, and they have to be respected. Some financially we couldn't quite get there. Others didn't want to play, in front of the type of crowds that we get. And some, it was just the length of the contracts, that they wanted with their injury records meant we couldn't really take a chance on that. Some of them were sick notes that we were happy to sort of take a chance on to a degree, but not with 2-year or more contracts. So we are where we are. We're still looking, and we'll do our business intelligently and see where it takes us.
You mentioned the crowds there, and the difficulty in attracting players, but also financially, with the level of crowds we get, it must be hard to find the money, so to speak, to get those recruits in.
Yeah, but we knew that before coming into the season. I think a lot of people, I'll keep the crowd sizes, let's say in the public domain, because it's always worth, keeping people realistic and making sure they understand, the problems that we undertake. But, I'm not a silly chairman that suddenly thinks we're going to go from 650 supporters and overnight suddenly it's all going to change. We all hope, but that's very rarely, the situation. Where as perhaps we've maybe fallen a little bit behind is we weren't that far behind the Eastleys and the Maidenheads and those sort of clubs, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but they've seemed to have gone to another level, and we've sort of, although we've increased, it hasn't been the sort of levels which they have, and for all manner of reasons, I hear people say they can't afford, or we're never going to increase our crowds at this level, if we charge the normal National League rates. Okay, that's an opinion, and I respect the opinion. I don't agree with it because I'm not sure people down in Wrexham or Hartlepool or Solihull or Maidenhead or Eastleigh have got any more or less money than us. I'm not sure if you're down at Eastleigh you haven't got Portsmouth or Southampton on your doorstep. I just think it's a decision people make locally to do with their money as they see fit. I think what we've got is a fantastic loyal support who we give amazing season ticket and offers to at the start of the season. I mean, I think our season ticket, I might be wrong, works out at under £5 a game for our people who had the season ticket last year and renewed. I think it's, I'm not quite sure, but I think it's the next, I think it was £2.20 was the next one, which was, under a tenner a game. And the little offer we've made now is a tenner a game on the way, to try and facilitate those who couldn't quite afford it. So we've done it in 5-stage payments. So I'm trying to do my best to look after everyone in the best way I know how. But we've also got to consider that this isn't a full-time league. Our supporters want us to challenge, or they want us to compete, and to compete at this level, you've got to come in. We've doubled our budget in 5 to 6 to 7 years, but that only leaves us with a small squad. So again, it doesn't come cheap. I think the answers to, well, if we made it cheaper, if we build it, they will come, or if we make it cheaper, they will come, just doesn't stack up. I mean, I can take you back to the Southern Eastern and the Ryman North and the Ryman days, when people said if we built an all-seater stand all along the west side, it would benefit everybody, and we'd get a bigger crowd. And if we went from the Southern Eastern to the Ryman Premier, the crowds would increase, which is true, they did, but they didn't increase to the levels we perhaps need. We then went from the Ryman Prem to the Conference South, and people said if we got to the Conference South, the gates would increase, which they did, but minimal again. I was then told if I built a North Bank, and if the home end or the home supporters had their own end, it would transform everybody, and which I did. But again, the crowds have improved, but not at the degrees others have done. We've built a new bar and facilities for everyone. We've built a new training pitch. So I'm very, very pleased with all the infrastructure, how it's coming on. And I'm really pleased, to be fair, with the budget we've created for Luke. It's not the biggest and the best, but it's not the worst. And but yeah, so again, the crowds are crowds. We should respect where ours are. If we look at it, we've probably got 400 regular home supporters, and then the rest of it, our crowd average is going to be made by what the away team brings most weeks. I think that's only fair to say that. We will get more for Barnet over Christmas. I'm sure we'll get more when Wrexham come, if they're still in the title hunt come Easter Monday. And then we've got the bigger guns, your Notts Counters and your Grimsby's and your Southend's, so I'm sure we'll finish this season with our highest ever average, and I accept that.
And over the summer, you gave the East Stand a nice refurb with fancy new white seats with the BWFC planted through it. Although it was sort of announced back into last week that due to the crowd sizes and to cut costs, etc., on match days with the cleaning and the stewarding, that on certain games the East Stand might not be open. Are you able to elaborate on that slightly?
Well, there's 2 or 3 reasons. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same, or our home supporters, our regular supporters feel the same, but if we have such a small home crowd and we're filming from the East Stand on the camera arc for BT Sport, if you open the East Stand on that arc, then the ground looks particularly empty, which was shown when we couldn't open it, or when we could open it, and the ground looked like there was more people in it when we couldn't open it against Aldershot because it needed cleaning. So it's a two-way thing. The one thing that I have spoken to my supporters who sit in the East Stand, and and they're quite right. They've sat in there for years, and I know because they've sat with me. So no, I've decided that we will open half of it, no matter what. But we won't open all of it unless we know we're going to get a crowd of in excess of 850. But again, that looks after all my home supporters, who regularly used to sit or do sit in the East Stand. The West Stand can easily take the rest of it. And again, we've got a nice covered home end now in the North Bank, so everybody should be pleased. And I'll make sure that our East Stand regulars are looked after.
Back to the first team, and it's been a long wait, but I think it's been announced that we've got a home game live on BT Sport against Dagenham on the 9th of October. Must be pleased after such a long time to finally get a home game.
I'm amazed. I don't know that pleased. I think we've only ever had one in 7 years, which was Orient when they were leaders, when they were here, and we beat them 1-0. I don't know if you remember that game, a little Sorba back heel and Femi planted one home. But that's our only ever home game, other than, so if we don't hit the playoffs, we don't normally get any coverage, and as you know, in the playoffs you don't get paid for TV anyway, so at least we'll earn a few bob, but we'll more than lose out. I would imagine with perhaps people not attending so much that day and watching it on the box. So what you gain in revenue, you lose off the gate. So I'm absolutely, it doesn't matter to me whether we're on the box or we're not. I think we both know, or we all know, Dagenham are top of the league. It's a great game for the neutrals, and we'll do our best. And
with it being Dagenham and Darryl McMahon, the gaffer at Dagenham, an ex-Wood player, coach, it's certainly going to add a little bit more to it.
Not for me. It's an irrelevance, if I'm honest. I think Angelo Balanta adds a little bit for us, but he's injured at the moment. I mean, Ange, as you know, was our talisman for years, and he's sort of picked that up at Dagenham. No, he's injured at present. I don't know if he's close to being back. I mean, probably more of an edge for Darryl and Luke. They're great friends. They're never off the phone, so it just means it's saving on their phone bills that they're 3 yards apart in the dugout. So. But no, it makes a nice edge to it. But there's lots of respect from both, I think, on both sides for the the teams that both managers have built, and I'm expecting a good game, and and an entertaining game really. I mean, Dagenham are free scoring. McCallum's a threat no matter whenever he plays. And they've changed the football a little bit this year. They've gone in with wing backs, they're getting balls into the box, and he's probably the number one striker of his kind who gets on the end of them. So no, it's working well for them.
But more importantly, 2 games in between that game, a game against Eastleigh on Saturday, followed by a home game against Torquay on the Tuesday night, and they're going to be 6 points. I guess you'll be looking to add to the tally.
Well, that's all of those sort of things are really down to Luke, aren't they? I mean, for me, on a personal note, I mean, Eastleigh's 5:20 on a Saturday. So again, I think we've got a coach going, haven't we?
We have got a sports coach going, yeah.
And again, we're going to try and do something in the bar for the supporters before they leave. I mean, again, it just shows you the commitment of them. It's on the box, yet they're getting on the coach, etc. So I'm going to do something for them before they leave. And again, they're the things I can do in terms when it comes down to the football. We just hope that the team turn up. Luke will have done his own work, and we'll see where it takes us. As for the 6 points, as I say, 17 points after 8 games, averaging more than 2 points a game. I couldn't be happier. So, whatever he manages to bring home on Saturday and Tuesday, I'll be delighted. And if it's 6 points, I think I'll be in cloud cuckoo land. But we'll see.
Finally, Dan, throughout this interview, hopefully it's not been picked up on the mics here, but there's been lots of noise and diggers racking outside. Looks like there's some more ground improvements you're undertaking.
Yeah, I didn't announce them to the supporters because there was lots and lots of pitfalls, etc. But the old fence at the North Bank end, I've managed to find a window to get that extended in terms of we're putting a new fence line in there. It means a reduction in. It means a reduction in the concourse size, but people will see that more come next year. We've got to get our pitch more aligned with other exciting building works and planning issues which will come up over the next year or two. So taking the pitch, taking the fence line and making sure the runoffs are long enough for the players, etc., will give us more scope down at the south end of the ground, and things will become more clear to our supporters over the next year or two. But I just, as always, I ask them to trust me in what I'm building. I want to build a home for them which will long outstay my welcome here. It'll be part of a legacy, and in the meantime I just do my best to try and put them in the Football League, albeit very, very difficult nowadays. £1 million budget doesn't cut it anymore, and no matter what you hear about Sutton United and all the rest of it, trust me, a lot of these clubs had decent budgets, and what Sutton did last year is what we'll all try and emulate with us smaller clubs. But again, you're still going to need £1 million to do it.
Brilliant, Dan. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us this afternoon.
My pleasure.